Coach. You guys got the win on Saturday. It wasn't the prettiest win, but you were able to hold them off and get that victory. What's the mood around the team going into this game? Big week with UTSA going on. How is the team feeling? Is it a little bit of humble pie, or how you doing?
Yeah, I think I'll go back to the pretty part of the win. All wins are pretty. I don't think there's any other way to look at it. A win is a win. You got to celebrate wins. I was walking up just now, and there was a construction where we got construction going on. Gentleman that I've had a lot of interaction with, because I see him every day. He said, "Hey, congrats on the win." I said, "Hey," he said, "Was it everything you were looking for?" I mean, it was an interesting question. Everything. I said, "Yeah, it was a win. A win's a win. It is hard to win." And I think the best thing about ours is we can come in and make corrections after a win, and you can be really, really hard after a win. You can be very detailed after a win. It's difficult after a loss. So yeah, that was awesome. That was everything we wanted, because we had one goal, and it was to win the football game, and we did that. The mood around the team is excited. We took the step we needed to take in the first week to get a win, and we did. And now we're on to the next one. And this is the most important game because it's the next game. And at the end of the season, at the end of the regular season, there's 12 guaranteed opportunities that we've been preparing for all year long. At the end of the season, they're going to go back and look at how many of those were in the win column and how many of those were not. And we got the one we needed to start. Now we're on to the next one. And the mood's great. We just had a phenomenal Tuesday practice. The guys are obviously fired up for the next opportunity. So yeah, we're ecstatic. We're fired up.
You mentioned you get more detailed. In your mind, what are those details from Saturday that you guys really got to hone in on this week?
Yeah, I think there's across the board. I mean, obviously, I'm in charge of the special teams portion of it, but in all phases, right? We had some turnovers we got to take care of. We had the ball on the ground in special teams. We had some misexecution in special teams. Penalties were something we need to clean up. Overall, just as a team, those are things that they got to be better. So we had those things to learn from in week one. We've got to make sure we take a step in the right direction in week two to make sure we get those off the tape.
Coach, you and I talk analytics a lot, so I'm really curious about the fourth down decisions that were made from this past week. There was one late in the first half, didn't quite go your way, but there was one in the fourth quarter when Lamar was coming back on your own end of the field. I think it was 4th and 1 at the 34-yard line. You don't get it, you're giving them the ball deep and you're in. And you are able to convert. What goes into the decision-making behind going for a fourth down like that?
So I think a couple things on that. One, I just want to say during games, there's a lot of times where I was told or maybe on Sunday, I was told Joey hurdled a guy and got a touchdown. And I was like, oh, that was great. I missed that one. There's a lot of times during a game I don't get to see a lot of things that go on. As far as decisions and analytics and those type of things that you and I know enjoy, There are things of studies and things that we do in the off season that Coach looks at. But at the end of the day, Coach Kinney is going to make a decision on what we're doing, and we're going to go out and execute it. In that particular example, I think I got over there kind of as the third down was ending, because you're getting the punt team ready because you don't know, or you're in field goal range and you don't know. In that particular example, it was the punt team. But that was one I think, as I got over there, it was kind of, hey, we're going for it and we're going to get it. And we did, and it worked out. I think all of those are any decision, right? Is the questions in here become results based as opposed to decision based. It's always that wasn't good because it didn't work, or that was the best call ever because it did. That's kind of how that always works out. But there is a lot that goes into those decisions, and I think the one thing, analytics wise, there's a lot of statistics and things that go. There's also the feel of the game. And how things are going throughout the course of a game that obviously Coach Kinney gets to make those decisions. And I will say in 25 years of Division I football that I've been a part of, I think he's one of the best at having a feel for our team in the locker room on a day-to-day basis, in the off season, when to push, when not to push, and in situations like that, having a great feel of, all right, this is what we need to do, or we have this momentum, or we need to do this. Or, hey, I know we're going to get it, let's go. And he does an excellent job with that.
Speaking of special teams, what was your evaluation from this past week? I felt like there was a lot of ups and downs. You had some good returns. There was the one muff punt. Your field goal kicker, Shipley, made one, missed one. What was your assessment overall of special teams?
It needs to be cleaner, and that's on me. I'm the one that's directly responsible for it, so it needs to be cleaner. Had some penalties, can't have those. Had some operational things, can't have those. But ball on the ground, can't have that. So overall, it needs to be cleaner. Yeah, I think if you look at it from a body of work, there was some of this and some of that. And I don't want to do this. I want to do this and bring up the bottom. We got to get that part taken care of. The things that were good, they need to be good. That's what we're supposed to do. But the things that weren't have to be cleaned up. And I think some of that's an operational piece that I'm directly responsible for, and I have to be better. And I got to put them in. I got to make sure that they're ready. Regardless of how many times, no matter how many times you've practiced it, said it, done it right, if it's not done properly, that's on me, and there's nowhere else to look. So I've got to get those things cleaned up. We've got to play clean. We can't put a guy on the ground. There's no arguing a penalty flag. When there's a yellow hanky on the ground, that's a penalty. So however it got to that point, that's on us. So we spend a lot of time and focus on coaching those things. And we've got to make sure they don't show up this Saturday against a really darn good ball club.
And you've been around college football for a long time and around a lot of rivalries. You had your introduction to this one last year. Getting ready for another edition of it this weekend. What is your assessment of the Texas State UTSA rivalry?
Oh, awesome. I think it's an absolutely incredible rivalry, and I think obviously the connections between Coach Kinney and Coach Traylor are a huge piece of that. And I think, even for me, I've worked with Coach Traylor. Their defensive coordinator, Jess Lepp, used to stay at my house when we worked together. My wife calls him Brother Lepp, and he and I were brothers when we were living together. And there's a lot of, Coach Lepp coached Coach Dex. Like that, he coached them at Tulsa. They're as close as can be. So there's plenty of connections and bonds that I think from a coaching standpoint. Obviously, the geographic location is awesome. That's incredible for both fan bases. The game last year, I want to say it was 48,000, 50,000 people there. Obviously, we'll have a great crowd, both with our fans, and I'm sure there'll be some of theirs sprinkled in there as well. But that's what college football is all about. This whole week leading up to it, it's our job as coaches and players to prepare. And I think the teams that prepare the best and go out there and just execute in these type of games are the ones that are going to come out on top. But no, I think this rivalry is great, and I think the success over the last, I guess Coach Traylor's in his 5th year there, that they've had during his run, and they've done an incredible job. They're one of the most winningest college football programs over the span that he's been there. And then obviously Coach Kinney and us coming in this last year, looking to build off that rivalry and looking forward to a great one this weekend.
How are Coach Traylor and Coach Kinney most different? Everybody talks about their connections and similarities, but having known them both, is there a difference?
Yeah, that's a great question. I've never got that one. I would just say, I would say Coach Kinney's probably just the younger version. I didn't get to know Coach Traylor when he was younger. I would say they were probably very similar at a different time. They're just at a different span in their careers. But I think they both have an incredible competitiveness. I think they both have a really good feel for their teams. I think being around the both of them, they are very well connected with their players and their staff in knowing the inner workings of both and how to push people's buttons in a positive way. Obviously, I don't mean that negative. How to push people to get the most out of them, I think would be the biggest similarity that I see between them.
Coach, with so much familiarity between the coaching staffs, just what does it mean that in a rivalry game like this, like so many people kind of, obviously with the connection with Coach Kinney and Coach Traylor, but also with you, with Coach Traylor, with like so many coaches that not only kind of know each other, but it's almost like on a personal level as well.
Yeah, and I think that's great. How many text messages went back and forth between last week of wishing each other luck between people we know on staffs. I see Coach Boone sitting in the back here. There's three other staff members that are on their staff that were with us at one point at South Florida when we worked together. There's a lot of connections, and I think that's what makes it neat. That part's great, but at the end of the day, they're going to put that ball down, and it's time to go play. I think that's a neat part of it, but at 3 o'clock, I believe, on Saturday, that ball will be kicked off one way or the other, and it'll be go time.
Anything else for Coach Prato? All right.
Thank you.
Appreciate what y'all do. Thank you guys. Y'all have a great day.